The FIFA organization stands for the Fédération Internationale de Football Association. It stands as the strongest authority in the world of soccer internationally. The organization was established back in 1904, and their goal was to promote the sport of soccer all around the globe. FIFA orchestrates the most prestigious of tournaments where the best play against the best. This organization also influences soccer around the world on all levels, not just professionals. Many and all soccer players admire FIFA because they have produced such amazing players throughout the years, such as the greats in the sport of soccer. People say the organization stands as an overall governing body for the sport as a whole. That says a lot about the power that FIFA holds. It is definitely most well known for the World Cup, where many countries compete in the tournament to win the title of being the best team in the whole world. People love FIFA for this because it gives people a sense of pride for their countries and promotes cultural exchange. But behind closed doors, FIFA is not as good as it seems. FIFA was exposed for the out-of-control corruption of the organization and illegal happenings on the inside in 2015. Several men, in fact 14, in positions of power in the organization were indicted for serious crimes committed behind the scenes. These crimes included wire fraud, racketeering, and money laundering. Particularly, FIFA's financial management has been a continuing issue for many years. There are many theories and proof of embezzlement within the organization, especially in the areas of profitable sponsorships, merchandise, and broadcasting rights. Some very popular scandals that went on in the past revealed a trail of corruption and misconduct behind the scenes. For example, the FIFA Gate scandal. In 2015, they were checking out serious going-ons within FIFA. People in power were apparently using bribery, fraud, and money laundering to mess with who gets to control the media and marketing rights for FIFA games in the Americas. The whole scheme was worth around $150 million, and a big chunk of that, at least $110 million, was shady money connected to bribes for the Copa America Centenario in the U.S. in 2016. Men even faced jail time for these crimes despite their money and status, which is not the case for a lot of people involved in the corruption of the company. In the investigation, they arrested the president of CONCACAF, which is the Confederation of North Central America and Caribbean Association Football, Jeffrey Webb, who's also in charge of the Cayman Islands Football Association, and Nicholas Leos, who used to be president of CONMEBOL, the Southern American Football Confederation, was also arrested. Furthermore, the police nabbed 2 people who are on the FIFA Executive Committee. This scandal, along with others, tore down the good reputation that the organization once had. One recent event within FIFA was the 2022 World Cup in Qatar. The choice of Qatar as the hosting country for the 2022 FIFA World Cup created a large mix of excitement and controversy. Regardless of the nation's jubilation over the unprecedented chance to host the tournament in the Middle East, the event was marred by accusations of corruption during the bidding process, creating a pall over the celebration. Concerns arose regarding the impact of financial incentive, extravagant gifts, and personal favors on the decision-making process of FIFA officials who were tasked with choosing the host country. These claims prompted curiosity, causing skepticism about the validity of Qatar's winning bid. Inquiries were made to take a look at the network of relationships, financial deals, and potential abuses of authority and power. This most definitely could have impacted the bidding results. The legitimacy of the entire FIFA organization faced scrutiny as demands for truthfulness and accountability were asked from both the internal and external areas of football community. One person whom most people accuse for the majority of the corruption is the previous president, Sepp Blatter. Sepp Blatter is a figure very closely connected not just with overseeing international football, but also with a lot of accusations related to corruption and unlawful conduct throughout his time as president. Sepp Blatter took on multiple accusations of engaging in financial misconduct while being president. During his time in office, allegations went from corruption to bribery and embezzlement. The 2015 FIFA Gate scandal mentioned before exposed a large amount of corruption when it came to the FIFA officials with Blatter in power. The investigation revealed unlawful financial dealings relating to determining World Cup venues and awarding marketing contracts. Blatter's involvement and say in these financial improprieties significantly damaged FIFA's reputation, ultimately leading to his suspension and later resignation. Sepp Blatter's actions as president were all driven by power and the way he abused his own. During his era as president, there was an absurd amount of allegations for the organization as a whole. Blatter never served any time for his crimes, unlike other FIFA officials. He ended up resigning not long after his colleagues were arrested, which creates the view that he did this to avoid being caught for his actions as president. Critics raised concerns about Sepp Blatter's style of leading and presidency, insinuating that it created an atmosphere of exemption and a scarcity of accountability within FIFA. The centralized power at the organization's higher ranks enabled uncontrolled actions and decisions. Critics argued that Blatter's autocratic approach contributed to an environment where illegal activities could occur and thrive without consequences of being dealt with. The lack of internal oversight and accountability mechanisms enlarged the problems within the organization, causing an environment inevitable to corruption. People say that as an important company and name, FIFA carries a dire obligation to guarantee that its events neither contribute nor tolerate human rights violations. The mistreatment of migrant laborers in host nations, notably in Qatar, has prompted inquiries into FIFA's dedication to maintaining ethical benchmarks. Critics argue that the organization should use its strong and loud influence to compel host countries to embrace and enforce human labor practices. This, they assert, is vital to ensure that the quest for sporting prowess does not compromise the fundamental principles of human dignity. FIFA's approach to human rights matters has drawn attention from human rights organizations, diverse advocacy groups, and individuals, causing deep concern about the ethicality of FIFA. Around the globe, protests have been enacted, accompanied by appeals for boycotts and organized campaigns. These are aimed at highlighting the transgressions linked to hosting high-profile football events. These collective efforts underscore the demand for FIFA to prioritize transparency, accountability, and concrete measures to tackle human rights issues associated with its tournaments. Another concern from critics is how FIFA treats their players and with their health and welfare. The intensive schedule of competitions all around the world, combined with demanding practice and training schedules, has raised concerns about the physical and mental toll experienced by players in the organization. Instances of players struggling with burnout, injuries, and exhaustion amid tightly packed tournament calendars have ignited discussions regarding FIFA's responsibility to prioritize player welfare. Critics think that the organization ought to change some of their ways and aim at persevering players' health, such as providing adequate rest intervals and taking into account their physical constraints. FIFA doesn't always treat players fairly, especially those from smaller and poorer countries. Young players in training programs experience far worse working conditions and payroll than other countries. There are claims that FIFA doesn't pay them enough and the working conditions can be bad. There's no set way to make sure players are treated well and fairly, making some players at risk of being taken advantage of. Critics are saying FIFA should make clear rules to make sure all players get fair treatment and pay. A blatant example of FIFA's unequal treatment to players is shown clearly in women's football. Unfairness and inequality in prize money, facilities, and promotional deals have been largely criticized. This reflects a systemic and obvious undervaluing of women's game. The glaring contrast between the lavish treatment of men's competitions and struggles faced by women's players highlights FIFA's role in perpetuating gender equalities. Calls for equal pay and resources for women's players have grown louder, emphasizing the need for FIFA to rectify these inequalities and champion gender equality in football. In addition to challenges of unequal pay and disparities in resource distribution, the concern surrounding the sport of women's football extends to many aspects that harm its growth and development. One major issue is the disparity in the investment and sponsorship opportunities. Women's football often faces a lack of financial backing and sponsorships compared to the more lucrative support received by men's football. This financial inequality limits the potential for growth, talent development, and overall improvement in the women's game. The women's game has historically received less attention, leading and contributing to the repetition of gender stereotypes, reinforcing a narrative that positions men's football as the primary focus. Addressing this inequality or imbalance is crucial for the growth and recognition of women's football all around the world. In conclusion, FIFA has become corrupt beyond all means, dating all the way back to 2008. There is the Qatar scandal where many illegal things went on, with the bidding, financial deals, and more. Then there's the ex-president Sepp Blatter. Sepp caused all of the chaos within the organization. This was because his abuse of power and hunger to lead, his embezzlement actions, and getting away with all of it made an unethical work environment for all FIFA officials. And lastly, the accusations of FIFA not upholding human rights and equality issues. FIFA has been basically forced to take a look at themselves and their actions towards workers. For example, the workers in Qatar. The organization also does not pay enough attention to women's football. They receive unequal pay, much worse working and practicing conditions, doing damage to growth of the sport globally. With all this being said, it is clear that FIFA is not the same as it once was and has not been for a long time. They are dealing with a cloud of corruption around them.